Shalom, and welcome to our History Podcast. This is a production of KingdomPreppers.org. I'm your host, Kingdom Prepper, and you're listening to Churchianity, 2,000 Years of Leaven. We continue with our history. Part 16, Under Muslim Rule. With the Muslim conquest, the lands under their control were altered, and certain advancements were made, the first of which were in the spheres of education and learning. Unlike the barbarian invasions in the western part of the empire, and much of Europe, where illiteracy thrived as knowledge was destroyed, the conquered Arab lands experienced an explosion of learning and literacy. From the 8th to the 10th centuries, this advancement continued, and Arabic became the default language throughout almost the entire caliphate. From the Atlantic to the Pacific, or at least to the Indian Ocean, Arabic was the primary form of study and communication in the conquered lands, replacing Latin, Greek, and other languages native to those lands.
The attitude toward learning resulted in a burst of intellectual energy, as witnessed by a few of the Arabic words that became a part of the vocabulary in Europe, regardless of language.
Writes John M. Riddle in A History of the Middle Ages.
Some examples are alcohol, elixir, algebra, zero, nadir, zenith, almanac, and chemistry. From the Arabs, Europe learned of paper, the clock, and numerous medical innovations, including new drugs. Because of Arabic to Latin translations, medieval Europe came to know Greek science texts, often accompanied by commentaries from an Arabic writer.
Those Greek texts were introduced to medieval Europe through Muslims, because Muslim learning was based largely on Greek concepts, and they developed a love of Greek learning superior to their love of other cultures. Under Muslim conquests, strides were made in the fields of science, agriculture, engineering and technology, medicine, and mathematics as well. Indeed, with the coming of the Muslims, which followed the invasions of the various barbarian tribes, the post-Roman world was effectively split into 3 distinct power blocks: barbarian-controlled Europe, the Islamic Caliphate, and the remaining Roman holdover, Byzantium.
One of the major themes in medieval history, from the 7th to the 12th centuries, was the relationship and interaction among these 3 cultural, economic, linguistic, and religious groupings.
Writes Norman F. Cantor in The Civilization of the Middle Ages.
In various degrees, each of these civilizations was an heir of the late Roman Empire. Byzantium exemplifies the most direct continuation of Roman law, administration, and thought. Western Europe also inherited many Roman traditions, and Islam absorbed some aspects of Roman imperial organization, and the better part of the philosophy and science of Greece and Rome.
In other words, these power blocks became the toes of Nebuchadnezzar's statue in Daniel 2, as with the papacy upon its emergence as a dominant player in Western Europe. A vast number of Christians in the East learned to live under Islamic rule. Islam still influences the Eastern churches that survive today, and in a small way that influence extends to Spain, which the Arabs conquered and later lost. The success they enjoyed in the Eastern and Southern Mediterranean broke the grip the Eastern Roman Empire held over that region, and whatever unity was enjoyed was interrupted and reshaped. The West was also forced to grapple with the Arab incursion, though they were able to halt its progress for the most part. In the West, the story was a bit different. The Franks were forced to tighten their military and political structure, which allowed them to dominate, and the papacy looked to them as a means of support when it too developed into an independent state. At its height, the church established 5 patriarchates. During Justinian's reign, the term came into official use and meant that there were 5 main religious heads or patriarchs established in 5 of the most important or influential regions in the realm, both East and West. These patriarchs were the heads of 5 churches located in Rome, Constantinople, Alexandria, Antioch, and Jerusalem. With the coming of the Arabs,
3 of the 5 ancient patriarchates Antioch, Jerusalem, and Alexandria seemed to have vanished, though the patriarchs in those cities continued, with restrictions, to function.
Writes Kevin Madigan in Medieval Christianity.
Only Rome, which would experience Muslim raids in the 9th century, and Constantinople, which would experience them much more often, remained. Conquered so rapidly, many of these lands would be fought over for much of the Middle Ages.
Penetration of the Arabs into the West, well, north of the Pyrenees Mountains located between France and Spain, was halted by the Franks in 733, almost exactly a century after the death of Muhammad in 632. It would prove to be the century of their greatest expansion. Many Christians who were previously under Byzantine domination gladly welcomed the Arabs as liberators. In fact, in the lands of early Christendom, that being Palestine, Syria, and Egypt, Christianity had been brought to a low level that left it a shallow husk, rife with doctrinal controversies and sectarianism. In these very lands, pagan practices and beliefs were packaged with Christian ones, along with blasphemous prayers to various saints, unwarranted reverence for Yeshua's mother, Mary, and even the use of amulets and other relics and features of supposed.
To listen to the full audio of this podcast, or to download a free MP3 version, visit our website, kingdompreppers.org, by clicking the link in the description, and journey with us on this important historic odyssey.